Hi there, my name is Sheila Chitskoff and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Orange Fitness. And I'm excited today to talk to you about what I like to call conscious living. And the reason I want to talk to you today about conscious living, it's really important and dear to my heart. And I really want to make sure that I can educate all of you on what's so important in the way to change the planet, help reduce your environmental footprint, help support your community, and have a really amazing holiday season this year. So with that, when we look at conscious living, there's a lot of different areas we can look at with it. And so today I'm going to talk about one, being vegan and how you can have more of a plant-based diet in your life, and two, supporting local. Both of those are two really important factors that you can incorporate into your daily routine to really help contribute to the other factors that we talked about. So to start out with being vegan, what's really important for you to know is that the #1 contributing factor to global warming is animal agriculture. And so when we look at that, that is more than vehicles, airplanes, oil, gas combined. And so with that, when you can incorporate more of a plant-based diet, you are reducing your environmental footprint on the planet. Another really important reason for being vegan is health. You are reducing your risks of heart attack, cancer, disease, and dying early. And so starting to incorporate more whole foods into your diet is really important. There's amazing cookbooks that I would love to recommend. So please feel free to go to our Facebook page and we'll list some cookbooks, some recipes, some fun tips and tricks on what you can incorporate into your diet. Like, what is that substitute for eggs? What can you do when you're baking this holiday season, and change little tips or little ingredients with your recipes in order to be healthier and contributing to less of an environmental footprint. And the third reason for being vegan and living consciously is the animals. They don't need to die. They don't need to be tested on in order for us to eat, in order for us to wear clothing. How about that time when you go to the grocery store or the store to get hair products? Do you take that extra second to look at the back of the label? Is there a cute little bunny on it? Because if there is, that means that it's cruelty-free. That means that that company you're supporting right now is also a believer in not harming animals. Okay, and so when you look at that, that's where it starts to fall into conscious living. So every decision that you're making, everything that you're purchasing, that you're consuming, you're starting to change your mind frame to be, how can I change the planet? How can I support these animals? How can I support my community? With the holidays coming up, we know that shopping is always on our lists. What are we going to get our family for Christmas? What are we going to get for this holiday season? Well, start thinking about conscious living with that. Can you buy local? There's amazing here in the West Kootenays. There are amazing entrepreneurs. I love the farmers markets when I go out to them and see these beautiful little crafts and woodworking. That is unreal out here. You're supporting your local community. You are helping contribute to jobs. That product is not being shipped from afar, so you're reducing your environmental footprint there as well. So with that said, this holiday season, I really hope that you can take that extra time to sit back and really think about those purchases that you're making. Are you living consciously and contributing to a positive impact on our planet?
Hello everybody, my name is Mandy. I'm a certified yoga instructor here at Orange Express Castlegar. Today I want to break down the part of the sun salutation, Chaturanga. I teach many classes here, and this is a common thing, misalignment that I see in this part of the flow. And it's usually fairly fast, so I want to make sure that you know these points and hopefully you can integrate them into your own practice, or maybe you can start doing them. So I'm going to stand up at the top of my mat and just thinking of your front body. So tops of your feet, shins, quadriceps, core. This is your front body. You want to make sure it's nice and engaged when we get down to our lower down part. So here, just standing up in mountain pose at the top of your mat. Tailbone slightly down, navel drawn back, heart is lifted, shoulder blades roll down your back. And then we're just going to inhale, reach up. And then exhale, dive forward. Inhale, halfway lift, and if you can't quite reach the ground, just remember, bring your hands up Good, heart reaches forward, shoulder blades drop back, navel's drawn back. And then this part, I'm just gonna walk back nice and slow. And I'm gonna come into a plank here. So when we're doing it, you don't usually come into plank, but for this part, we're going to. So you just wanna make sure that the wrists are really far back. I'm just gonna take a moment here to break down the hands. So you want your hands shoulder distance apart, your middle finger straight forward, and the wrists parallel with the top of the mat. So sometimes they might come out like this. As we're here, the triads might lift. So you really want to make sure that this piece is pressed down firmly, because that's going to build strength in your hands and pull a lot of the weight out of the wrists. So over time, it's going to protect your wrists. So just really try to make sure that you're nice and firm in the hands. And again, you don't want to have a really, really big L here, just a nice soft L. Because when it's really big, it shortens the wrist. So just have it nice and open. Hands are enclosed. We want a nice sturdy foundation here. So as I press up, I'm gonna draw my kneecaps up. You wanna notice your front body really engaged as you lower. And here, tailbone slightly down, your bum might be up, it might be dropped. You wanna try, get nice and straight as you can. Heart reaches forward. And then as we're here, it takes a lot of strength here. See if you can drop your pelvis first. So you're just gonna lower down here. And the arms is the part that I really want to break down. So you want to make sure that the wrists are in line with the lower set of your ribs. The hands are pretty far back. So if you notice from my shoulders to my wrists, I have a 90-degree angle. A lot of times people will drop lower, so shoulders will drop really low. That puts a lot of pressure on your shoulder joint. So all you want to do when you lower down, you want to try to get that 90-degree angle. So another thing that I do see when people are here, you drop your knees, but then you can't quite get that angle, and you're not really building the strength quite well. Well, you're building some strength, but you want to try focus, connect your mind to your body, getting that 90-degree angle from here. So see if you can drop your pelvis first. You'll have that 90-degree angle. Draw your shoulder blades together down your back and elbows together behind your back. And that form, that alignment, will start to help you get stronger. So when you lower down, you're here, maybe you're pressing up just a little bit, or you can press up to upward dog, and then you can roll your heels back to downward facing dog. Good, so I'll show you that a little bit quicker, just so that you can see when you do start to get strength, your belly won't touch. So I'll show you this a little bit faster. So heart reaches forward, exhale. To downward facing dog. All right, so hopefully you can take some of those tips into your own practice. So if you're doing sun salutations, just really be aware of your alignment. So again, misalignment, repetition, it's a recipe for injury and disaster. And you want yoga to benefit your life, you don't want to be harming it. So really just check in, question, I'm doing yoga, it's great in some areas in my body, in my life, my elbows are getting sore. I have students coming up, they're like, why are my elbows sore? And I see that usually the wrists are farther, it puts a lot of pressure on the elbow. So you really want to keep that 90-degree angle, because if you're doing power classes, vinyasa classes, you're going to be doing it a lot and again, maybe years. So just really be mindful of how you're feeling throughout your practice. And then 3 things I want to leave you with, a really big piece that I'm starting to integrate into my life that's really helping me with, as the seasons are shifting, it's starting to get dark, and especially here where we live, cloud, and we barely see the sun. So some things that are really helping me stay bright and happy in my everyday is taking the concepts and things I'm learning on the mat to my everyday life. So same thing when I start to teach a class, we start in a calm, centered place to find our center. So it's the same thing. As soon as you wake up, when you have that moment that you're awake, sometimes we're groggy, I don't want to get up, this and that. See if you can just say, I'm going to have a great day. Or maybe just set an intention, like today's going to be the best day ever. And I tell myself that. It doesn't feel authentic at first. I'll say it 3 times, and I start to wake up, and it really does affect and change the way I live my day. And feel free to check in with your intention, maybe set a little one a little bit different halfway throughout the day. So know that it doesn't have to just be on your mat where you're finding this peace and this place of centeredness and greatness, really. Another thing is, as soon as you get up, see if you can move your body a little bit. Maybe put on a song or something that's going to help you just connect with yourself and bring your body up just to a higher vibration and just more awake. I'll put on something a little more mellow that has a nice little beat, and I'll literally just have my own little dance party, one song, and it shifts my body and my mind in a whole different way. And another thing that you can do as soon as you wake up, set your intention, moving your body, drinking some water, just some nice warm water, maybe a little bit colder, but not too intense on your body. You could put a little bit of lemon juice in there, but it just wakes up your body, it wakes up your cells, and then in turn your body and mind. And then the third thing is either in the morning or even throughout the day, just think of at least 3 things that you're grateful for. And I'll give you a few moments to think of 3 right now. So right there, it took me about 5 seconds, and I thought of at least 3 things that I'm grateful for. My feet, the earth is a big one. It does so much for us every day, our feet and the earth. And then friends and family. So I had 4. If there's any other ideas that you need, if this is new to you, your house, a roof over your head, pets, the air, a pencil, just it could be little things, it can be big things, but just a lot of times the world is just full of a lot of negativity, and it's really easy to spiral down. And the most important relationship you have is the one with yourself. So we have friends and people that can help uplift us. You can be grateful for that, but it is your job to really take that time. It's hard to get out of that rut, especially when we don't see the sun and it's cold. We're not moving our body, we're with our mind. So take that time. These are a couple tools and things you can apply to your daily life, things that you can do right now, and just notice how it slowly starts to shift. If you can't remember, it's not in we're creatures of habit. If you can't remember, I write notes to myself on the fridge. I write with my eyeliner on the mirror in the bathroom. You could even write a note on the ceiling as soon as you wake up, just to really change that mindset, because when you can change your mindset, it changes your whole world.
Welcome everyone to this December edition of The Healthy Human. My name is Diana Draper, and I am a naturopathic physician out of Castlegar, BC. Today I want to talk about something that's very near and dear to my heart. It is the end of the year, which also symbolizes the end of a cycle. At this time last year, it was really common for people to be either knowing someone who was going through a grieving process or going through a grieving process themselves. I was one of those people, as my father passed away at the end of last year, and he was the first person big in my life that I had lost. And I thought today, after a year of going through my own grieving process, it was really important to share with all of you some tips of how to survive grief, because grief happens to all of us, and it's also an important part of our health and development and growth. So to start with, grieving is a natural part of the human process, simply because death is a natural part of the human process. Our bodies are made to deteriorate and pass away at a certain time. Death and loss are rarely talked about in our society, and therefore they can very easily become something that hinders our own growth and development. And people will live with emotions quite buried down, which will eventually cause health concerns. And I see this quite often in my clinic all the time. Our body is meant to function as a unit, which means that if you are emotionally or mentally grieving, your physical body is eventually going to show signs of that if you don't process these emotions. So today what I want to do is give you some tools on how to manage grief. There are tons of ways to manage grief, and if you're finding you're having a really difficult time with it, there's always support groups out there. You are never alone. One of the most guaranteed things I can tell anyone is that if you're experiencing something, someone else has most likely experienced it, because humans are more the same than we are different. So if you're really struggling with grief or anything in your life, ask for help. That's what living in a society and in a community is here for. First and foremost, if you're experiencing grief, the first tool that I can give you is to expect the unexpected. Grief waves come out of nowhere, and they can really take you down. So there is no book on how to grieve properly. There's no A, B, C, or D process to go through, and there's no end goal to hit, simply because everybody goes through their own experience. If everybody went through the same experience, we'd have a manual and it would be mastered by now. So expect the unexpected. You can be sitting at a movie theater watching a movie and suddenly, boom, you're in a grief wave. So that would be the first part the first step I would recommend. Second, and in part to that, is to allow your emotions to flow. And if you're in a place where you can't do that, step outside. Everybody understands the grieving process. So you can simply say, I'm having a grief moment, I need to leave. If you're someone who's scared of the feelings associated with grief, because they can be quite scary, what I would encourage you to do is set a timer. So you can set 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes on your clock, and then just feel. Allow whatever emotions need to roll through you to roll through you, whether that's anxiety, crying, being angry, having to move your body physically, hit things. Do that in a safe environment where you're not gonna hurt anyone. But really allow those emotions to move, because if you store them up, they're gonna eventually cause physical issues in your body, or you're gonna end up releasing them at times where you're not really wanting to have a grief burst happen. So let them move. If you're scared that you won't get out of those feelings, that's why you set the timer. Set the timer, and when that timer goes up, you get up and you do something else. The more often you do that, the more comfortable and confident you're gonna be within yourself that even though you're feeling, you will be able to carry on in your day. And that's a really important message to send to your body on a regular basis. That way you're not suppressing any feelings, but you're also not becoming victim to them. Third tool that you can do is make sure you do something every day that feeds your soul, even on the days where you really don't want to do anything at all. For personal experience, I decided to try yoga when I was going through my grieving process, even though I deep down hate yoga very, very much. So the first time I went to a yoga class, I laid on the mat, and when the woman said, now move into this position, I mentally went, don't tell me what to do, and I got up and left the yoga room. However, I went back to yoga again and again and again. And what happened was I found that that was my retreat to have quiet time for myself in a space where I didn't feel alone. I didn't have to talk to anyone. I didn't have to share what I was feeling, but it got me out of the house and it let me know that I'm not the only person in the world. And sometimes that made the difference. Even if I swore and hated every second of getting myself to that yoga class, I went. And eventually that started to change how much I got out and how much I was being active. Fourth tool to use is when you're having a good moment, write down the list that feed your soul. So if it's things like talking to someone, going for a walk, doing some artistic anything, art, drawing, having a dance party, anything that makes you feel good, write that list and put that list on your fridge. So when you're having a bad moment, you don't have to think of anything that's gonna make you feel better. That list is sitting in front of you. You go to it, you choose one thing and you do it. At the end of that, you're good. Usually it just takes a moment for you to get moving and then you'll continue moving. The fifth and final tool that I'm going to give you for grieving is to respect your process, because grieving is a process. There is no end point in sight necessarily. There is no, if you do this, this will happen. It's an ever-evolving process that's different for everyone. So the more kindness you can give to yourself and others as they're going through that experience or you're going through that experience, the gentler that experience will be and the more expansive your learning from that will come. And finally, for those that are supporting people through the grieving experiences, I have 2 tips for you. Number 1, there is no right thing to say. So don't worry about saying the wrong thing. Everybody's a little bit timid to talk about something that's uncomfortable, and the reality is there are no right words at any one time. Everybody is individual in their experience, and everybody is going through their experience on their own. So if you're worried about saying the right thing or doing the right thing or not sure if and or what, just do what feels right to you. If you're coming from a place of love and kindness, that message is going to be received from whoever you're giving it to. The second thing is, try to avoid asking the question of what can you do for that person. When someone is grieving, it's very difficult for them to know what they can do for themselves, let alone have an idea of what they can tell other people to do for you. So a great idea is just take the initiative. Bring food over to that person's house, pick them up and go for a walk with them. If they don't want to go, trust that they'll tell you, I just need to be alone right now, or they won't answer their door. But by you stepping in and supporting them without putting the extra burden on them having to help you figure out what they need, you're really just allowing them to go through their own experience while supporting them. Remember that everybody goes through grieving, period in their life, phases in their life. Everybody experiences grief. So don't feel alone in this process, and the more authentic you are with what's happening to you, the more encouragement you're going to give to someone else to allow them to be authentic about what's going on with them. And that just helps everybody move forward. So I hope you found this episode particularly helpful and there's something that you can take home for that. At the end of 2017, it's a time to lay things to rest. So even though I'm highlighting the passing of someone, grieving can happen from anything. The change of a home, the change of a city, the loss of a habit that you used to love. The list goes on and on and on. So you can apply any of these principles to any part of your life where you're feeling lost. And really empower yourself and give yourself the opportunity to do that. So a really great analogy to leave you with is this. As we lay down and release, we're creating fertile soil for anything to grow. So as you move into 2018, consider letting go and releasing as an opportunity to really create the fertile ground for whatever you want to develop for yourself in 2018.
So functional fitness is introducing exercises that mimic everyday life movement patterns. Rotating, picking things up, squatting, lifting, pushing things over your head. Everyone should be incorporating this concept into their exercise routine. Now, in essence, it's a very effective type of exercise that involves training the body to functionally have the capacity to perform real-life activities. This is the best way to transfer what you're doing in the gym to the real world. So what we're trying to do is help move more efficiently. Number one is to prevent injury, to promote physical longevity, improve our natural movement skills, and enhance general mobility. Increasing the muscle mass, stabilization, power, and reaction time. So these sets of multi-dimensional movements train several muscle groups at once. So this is encouraging these muscles to work together. Now, getting the entire kinetic chain to work with one another. So we're talking the nervous system, muscular system, and skeletal system, all in conjunction to help keep you safe and strong and powerful. So I have a few movements that I'd like to go over today, and I'm gonna bring a model in to come and show you. We, as Canadians, are prone to injury through shoveling, and over 11,000 people a year are injured in the winter time, whether it's lower back strains, slips or falls, or any kind of muscular strain, usually due to the fact that we are hinging at the hips and then adding that weight and load. And it doesn't help that usually we have to do it in a quick time frame, so we're pressed for time as well. But if you think of shoveling as more of a functional activity, it can lessen the pain a little bit, both mentally and physically. So the first activity we're going to do today is a squat with rotation. So I'll get you to go ahead and pick up the two 10-pound dumbbells, please. And then come to the top of the mat. We'll take the feet a little bit wider than the hips and point the toes out. Go ahead and bring the weights right to the shoulder height in the rack position. So you're gonna sit down in your squat, sending the weight through the heels and driving the hips back and down. As you press through the heels, lift and then rotate, pressing the weight up overhead. That's it, and then so you'll sit back and down and press up and twist to the other side. So this is encouraging rotation of the torso, core stabilization, power through the heels, and adding that little offset of weight and encouraging the balance as well. Excellent job. So you can take the weights and just place them off to the side. And I'll get you to pick up the purple kettlebell there. The second activity is a basic kettlebell squat. So bring yourself back to the top in that position with the toes pointed out. So we're just setting her up in a wide stance today to activate more throughout the side glutes. So go ahead and bring the kettlebell right to your heart, and you can flip it around just to envision it as a glass of wine. And so the functionality of this is not to tip or pour the glass of wine on the floor. So we want to slide our backs down the imaginary wall and bend the knees so the inner thighs roll up as you sit back and down. Beautiful. Pressing through the heels, lift back up to the sky, and then lower. So this is just a basic squat, increasing the flexibility in through the hips, and once again, encouraging the power through the heels as she drives up. The weight is offsetting through the balance, so her rector spinae muscles in the back have to activate in order to keep her upright. Now the other activity that I really wanted to encourage before shoveling is to just take a few moments to do a bit of a warm-up. I'm sorry I didn't do that right before, but I'll come to have you stand once again in that wide-legged stance. And a very basic warm-up before the shoveling is just a twist with rotation. So I'll get you to press to one side, twisting and rotating on the foot, and then press to the other side. So you can do this just before your activity, just before that big shovel on your big snow day. Encouraging the twist and rotation through the spine, warming up once again through the obliques, through the core, and stabilizing through the torso. So that covers shoveling for this time of year, and then obviously into the spring and the summer months, any kind of digging or gardening work as well. So another thing that we do on our daily lives and activity is grocery shopping, picking up toddlers, carrying kids, bags, reaching for something in the back seat. These all put our bodies into positions that are likely to create strain if we're not really prepared for it. So the next activity that I wanted to do was a dumbbell lunge twist with a halo. And this can be used with a dumbbell, you can use a kettlebell, and today we're just gonna use a medicine ball to have her hands beside it. So if you picked up the medicine ball for me and came and started in a lunge position. So let's start with 1 foot forward, nice long lunge. Now in the lunge position, you want to have that back leg strong, the quadricep is engaged, and just being careful and mindful to have the knees set up right over top of the ankles. So she's in really great alignment here. The shoulders also just hover right over top of the hip joints to keep her chest broad, collarbones open. So what we'll do here, Mandy, is twist to the direction that the knee is bent, keeping the torso long. And then as you come back through center, step to the top of the mat and draw a halo over your head. Yeah, so you can step right back with the other leg and find yourself in the lunge position again. Take that twist, step it on forward, and draw the halo overhead. Yeah, and so I'll just get you to do a few more here. Now once again, what we're highlighting is the multi-dimensional movements. So Mandy's in all the different planes of motion, the frontal plane, sagittal and transverse plane. We're working on rotation through the core, stabilization through those muscles, encouraging balance and strength. The last activity that we're going to talk about today is basic cleaning and general house chores. So come onto the top of the mat, and I'm taking you into a deep squat, Malasana deep squat. So toes point out, sliding the back down the imaginary wall, sit the hips on in between the heels. And then readjust. So I always encourage people to sway side to side, find a nice comfortable place for their hips when they're down below. Now, if you can picture yourself sort of cleaning the fridge, in through the crisper drawer, out underneath the baseboards, this deep squat position is highly encouraged as a place for you to be down on the floor. So as a community, or sorry, as a society, we don't squat very much. So this deep squat position helps encourage the flexibility and mobility in through the hips, and then therefore makes it more comfortable for you when you're down on the floor. So I'll get you to press through the heels to come on back up, nice long spine, doing the dishes or standing at the sink. I really encourage you guys to come into a tree pose. So if you just find that tree pose here, placing the inside edge of the foot to the inside edge of the thigh, and then you can envision the sink right in front of you, and maybe give your hands a little imaginary wash, or wash up with the dish. Yeah, turn the single on and off. Awesome, and then if you come back through and just shake it out. Good. So I hope that some of these activities you can use in your daily life to help strengthen and therefore prevent injury. And if not, you're more than welcome to come see me, and I will be happy to assist you and teach you some more. Otherwise, stay safe out there.